Why say it? The solar system may be humanity's prison. Let's watch the entire video to know why. Look at humanity's current technology. To go to all the planets. How long will each take? The Moon is the closest position to the Earth. The average distance is about 384,000 kilometers. The Apollo mission brought humans to the Moon. One-way trip takes about 3 days. Consider our current spacecraft technology. There has been some progress since then. So I will take you experience the journey to those distant planets. In order. Takes you to Mercury first. This is the smallest planet in the solar system. But I'm afraid you'll get lost. Still need to disseminate some small knowledge. One is the planet's orbit. Their orbit around the Sun is not a perfect circle, which is an ellipse, such as Mercury. It is about 46 million kilometers from the Sun when it is closest. The farthest distance can be up to 70 million km. This makes sense. The distance between the planet and the Sun is constantly changing. The position closest to the Sun is called perihelion. The furthest location is called the aphelion. Besides, planets orbit the Sun at different speeds. And there is a sample. Planets are farther from the Sun. The slower the speed. Therefore, the planets are more distant. The longer it takes to complete one revolution around the Sun. Take Mercury for example. Closest distance between Earth and Mercury. About 77 million km. So do we really only need to travel 77 million km? Is to reach Mercury? The reality of space travel will violate some common sense in everyday life. We are used to walking in a straight line from point A to point B. But in space, this will not work, because the planet itself is always moving. If you fly directly by spaceship, fly in a straight line to a planet. However, the planet itself is constantly moving. Now that planet, it is no longer in its original location, because the whole time you're flying, that planet is also continuous, moves on its own path. So you need to move along the curve and apply the principles of orbital mechanics. That is, the orbit moves slowly. Simply put, it is a two-pass type of engine ignition. Move the spacecraft from circular orbit. Switch to another coplanar circular orbit, or a nearly circular elliptical orbit. Of course, another important factor is speed. Such as Mercury, it flies at speeds up to about 169,200 kilometers per hour. In human history, compare with Apollo, the fastest manned space mission, on the way back to Earth on the 10th, reaching a speed of approximately 39,897 kilometers per hour. Have you noticed? Even our fastest manned spacecraft, the speed is also much lower than Mercury's orbital speed. This makes sense if you want to reach Mercury by spaceship. You need to accelerate for a long time, or use a smarter technique, such as gravity enhancement technology. It uses the gravitational field of a planet or satellite and orbital energy to change the speed and direction of the spacecraft. Just use the planet's gravity to accelerate the spacecraft. Can speed up or slow down the spacecraft. And this process does not consume fuel. For example, the Voyager probe could reach the outer reaches of the solar system benefited to a great extent, thanks to many successful gravity increases. But gravity assist also has limitations. Mainly, it takes more time. Apply this knowledge. It's time for you to go to Mercury. Combined with chemical fuel, propulsion, and the ability to increase gravity. To get close to Mercury, the maximum speed achieved in 10th gear is for reference only. Under the most ideal circumstances, using modern spacecraft technology, it takes about 7 months to reach Mercury's orbit. Even if you reach Mercury, don't forget, the environment here is extremely harsh because Mercury is close to the Sun and no atmosphere. Large surface temperature difference, strong solar radiation, so you can't stay long. Next stop, Venus. This is the second closest planet to the Sun, but it is the hottest in the solar system. Yes, hotter than Mercury, because he has extremely dense aura. The atmosphere is dominated by carbon dioxide, causes widespread greenhouse effect. Mercury is just a simple rocky world. The area is hot. The area is cool. When Earth and Venus are closest to their orbits, the distance is about 40 million km. You travel to Venus in the fastest spacecraft available. A one-way trip takes at least 5 months. Continue to the famous red planet Mars. This is the planet that gets the most attention after Earth, because it was discovered that life used to exist here. Compare him to Venus, a little further from Earth. The closest distance to Mars is approx. 59 million kilometers. But this gap will gradually increase when the Earth revolves around the Sun. But about every 26 months, Earth and Mars will once, in a relatively close location. This is said to be the most ideal time to move to Mars, because it helps save fuel consumption and flight time. With the current level of technology, one-way trip from Earth to Mars, the flight takes about 10 months. This is only a one-way trip. If you want to return to Earth, it will take about 26 months to wait on Mars, until the distance is shortened. Only then can we depart and return home. You continue to the next stop, Jupiter. When it is closest to Earth, it is about 640 million kilometers away. This distance, more than 10 times the closest distance between Mars and Earth. Two more conveniently represent these huge distances. We usually measure it in astronomical units. 1 astronomical unit is approximately the average distance from the Earth to the Sun, about 150 million km. So Jupiter has a distance of about 4.2 astronomical units when closest to Earth. That is to say, to get to Jupiter, the distance is equivalent to running 16 times around the Earth's equator. With current technology, use various methods such as increasing gravity to speed up to Jupiter. It also takes about 3 years. This is just one way. If you want to go back and forth, it will take about 6 years. This stop will be the most beautiful stop of this trip. Saturn. You can see its ring. Its closest distance to Earth is about 1.275 billion km, equivalent to 8.5 AU. This distance is approximately 8.5 trips to the Sun, or to Jupiter twice. Fly to Saturn with an existing spacecraft. The one-way trip took more than 4 years. This means you have a round trip. It will take more than 8 years. Enough to finish high school and college. If you don't get lost, then the next stop is Uranus. Uranus is at the closest point in its orbit, about 2.97 billion kilometers from Earth. This is almost 20 astronomical units. Now you will notice, as we move further and further away from the Sun, due to weakening gravity and increasing orbital circumference, the distance between planets increases almost exponentially. Current spacecraft technology flies to Uranus. The one-way trip takes about 10 years. Enough for your dog to transform from a puppy to an old dog. The last stop is a place that makes you remember deeply. 8th place. Neptune, the most distant planet in the solar system, has now been identified. Also one of the coldest places. When it is closest to Earth, it is about 4.3 billion kilometers away, equivalent to nearly 30. Take a trip to Neptune. This distance, it's like flying 15 round trips from the Earth to the Sun. This distance, it will take about 12 years to fly past Neptune. Enough to finish elementary school through high school. Future drone detectors could be faster. But the missions are manned, taking into account life support and existing technological limitations. Even if it can be done, estimate based on current speed of drone detector. The journey can also take more than 10 years. And you haven't left the solar system yet. If we can leave the solar system, is it possible to reach other planets outside the solar system? With current technology, perhaps. We don't live long enough to make this journey. If you want to completely fly out of the Oort cloud, calculations are based on current scientific models. It will take about 14,000 to 28,000 years. This period of time has been too great to be able to continue the journey. So based on humanity's current technology, the solar system may actually be our prison. Although current aerospace technology has made advances, but for manned operations, about rapid interplanetary travel, there are still too many differences. And long space flights. About the physiology and psychology of astronauts. It's all just one big experiment. And humans want to actually build on other planets. Base or even colony. The technology road still has a long way to go. Therefore, the solar system is a prison. But that is also the starting point for us to explore the sea of stars.